have so much to show you.
What the hell is Transference? It's hard to describe this psychological thriller without using terms that, out of context, will sound like a turnoff. It's a walking sim, it's a thriller with a complex story, it's a VR game, it's short. But none of these labels do the same justice, however, as, with or without the VR headset, the game is immersive, enjoyable, and utterly fascinating. Welcome to MojoPlays, and this is our review of the self-described virtual escape room, Transference. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Created as a collaboration between Ubisoft Montreal and Elijah Wood's film studio Spectre Vision, Transference is set in a corrupted, virtual environment. If that sounds meta, that's because it is, as technically, you the player are playing as someone exploring a virtual reality simulation, a digital world created by a scientist named Raymond Hayes.
I have found the key. It was right there in front of us the entire time. All it took was the willingness to see it and to use it.
Hayes claims to be on the cusp of a new technological breakthrough, and now we are playing that experiment. Hayes has collected data from his own mind and the minds of his wife and son, and the result is a complex reflection of their home, and the player can flick back and forth between each family member's perspective.
Cat? Are you with Benji? Are you with Benji?
Each perspective essentially means a different version of the environment, and most of the puzzles are solved by finding keys or making changes in one world and carrying it across to another. While this mechanic isn't exactly new or wholly original, the first-person immersion and the whole meta-narrative helps the player really get to know this small space, and getting to know the world is extremely important to both the story and puzzle solving. You really need to be paying attention to your surroundings and every little detail that comes with it. Key items and switches can be easy to overlook, and while every puzzle comes with a few hints, even those are often hidden. The story is equally opaque, but ultimately one of the most rewarding tales of 2018.
That's the problem here. Getting the subject to remain still enough to take a proper snapshot, except for the subject is the brain. If only there was some way to freeze the brain.
The bulk of the narrative is told out of sequence and presented via everything from voiceover narration to in-game scenes and video logs that are scattered around the apartment.
Happy birthday, dear Benjamin.
Happy birthday to you.
At first, I was worried that the inclusion of live-action actors would be one of the game's weaker elements, but the cast is small and the performances by everyone involved are fantastic.
For I've returned from the salt, salt sea, all for the love of thee.
The three members of the Hayes family each have a lot to deal with, and subtleties in the writing are very well delivered. Not only that, but the graphics are phenomenal, and going from a live-action performance to an in-game appearance by the same character is smooth and the distinction is minimal. The real draw to this game, and really the only reason to pick it up, is the immersion. While playing it with a VR headset is the best way to get the full experience, the console and PC versions are fully functional and run great. This is probably the single most detailed game world I've ever seen, and while Transference is definitely not a horror game, you can expect a few jump scares and a lot of creepy imagery. The setting, a corrupted simulation in a menage of tormented minds, fully justifies the creepy atmosphere, making the tone more than just a gimmick.
Dad! He's coming! Go to the garage, Ben. Get out of there now! Ben, can you hear me?
The scares, unfortunately, do lose a lot of their bite when you realize that you can't die, per se. There are a few moments where a terrifying presence can kill you, but it doesn't reset any progress and just functions as a way to let you know that you went the wrong way.
Are you a dream?
Take me to the machine.
Gameplay is as straightforward as it gets. You walk around, pick up one item at a time, and either examine it for clues and story elements, or find the door it unlocks. There are lots of interactive objects as well, and sometimes they add a little more depth to the puzzle solving. The puzzles are all short and relatively fun to solve, and the game will usually lock off doors or even confine you to a single room when you solve the current puzzle just to make sure you don't go the wrong way. I personally got stuck a few times, but never for more than 10 minutes at a time.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. Miles to go before I sleep.
Ultimately, I find myself wishing that there was more. I really enjoyed my experience with Transference, but when it was over, all too briefly, I sat here wishing it was an episodic experience and that I could explore more of the story in different locations. The cost of entry at $25 US is a bit steep. We got a review copy, but had I bought the game myself, I don't think I would have felt ripped off or disappointed, even if I had only played it on a computer screen or television.
Let's take a photo. One final snapshot before we leave.
Transference is a unique, well-developed experience with an engaging world and gripping story. If that sounds like enough for you, or if you need to justify your new VR hardware, then I highly recommend this descent into mania. Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.